Greetings to one and all. I welcome you all to this webinar conducted by Law Insider. Today we have Ms. Priya Kumari to enlighten us about UGC NET GRF. Ms. Priya Kumari is currently part of faculty at Jindal Global Law School. She graduated from National University of Study and Research in Law, and she also completed her LLM from NLU Jodhpur. Ms. Priya Kumari cleared her UGC NET GRF in December 2020 and has joined us today to share her valuable knowledge. A very warm welcome to you, ma'am.
Hi, Isha.
Hi. So let's just begin with the basics. For all those who aren't aware of this exam like I was in the beginning. So please tell us about what exactly it is and what does it offer to students?
Yeah, so UGC NET, the term UGC, if people do not know about it, it's basically University Grants Commission. It is a regulatory commission for higher education in India. It was established somewhere, I think, in 1956 by the UGC Act itself. And then it conducts the National Eligibility Test or the NET examination, which is basically the minimum criteria you need in India to become an assistant professor, not just in law, but even for other professions. Now, there are two things about it. UGC NET and then there is JRF. So UGC NET, as I mentioned earlier, that it is basically the minimum criteria for you becoming an assistant professor, while JRF is Junior Research Fellowship, which you require if you want to become a research scholar or want to pursue your PhD. So what does it have to offer? The benefits here would be that JRF, if you qualify JRF as such, then you do not have to, worry about the earnings. The 3 or 4 year time when you are pursuing a PhD, you will be provided a fellowship. I think it's around 30,000 when you are a junior research fellow. That is in your first and second year of your PhD. And when your thesis is, supervised and it is given a thumbs up in the second year. So in the third year, you become a senior research fellow, wherein you will be paid for around 35,000 per month, and also HRA and other contingency fellowship money. So that's there's that. Also for people who look into PSU jobs of PSUs and stuff like that. So even the public sector undertakings have direct access to your UGC net marks, and they can also take you inside their PSU. So that is also another scope of UGC net. So anybody, I think anyone as of now looking for a work-life balance, because after 5 to 10 years of working in the corporate sector, people eventually, even I get messages from advocates and people who are practicing lawyers, and they're like, I now want to pursue LLM after 5 to 10 years of litigation or even the corporate sector, because I am not having a work-life balance. I'm not able to manage everything, and I want to enter into the academic sector. So then you need to have UGC net. Now, people often ask me that there are changes in the guidelines. If you're not aware, there are changes in the guidelines stating that even an assistant professor, even in law, now requires to have a PhD degree as well. Apart from LLM and NET, they have to have a PhD degree. But obviously, those are guidelines and it will take time to be implemented. Till then, even I think the last I saw of the National University, it was NLSIU, if I'm not wrong, which rolled out its applications in January. And it still had the qualification, still mentioned that you need to have an LLM and NET for the post of assistant. So there's that. So,
right. So let's quickly jump to the pattern of paper and its division and the various subcategories that it entails. So please enlighten us.
Yeah, so if you're focusing on UGC net law, for any, I think for any stream, the general paper, the first paper remains the same. So you need to remember that it's a 3-hour thing.
Okay.
You have to sit for like 3 hours straight and answer 2 papers, that is general paper and the subject you have chosen. But in our case, it's law. So the paper division goes like, the first part of it has 50 questions, 2 marks each. The second one has 100 questions, again 2 marks each. Okay. Now, how do you have to qualify it? you first have to keep in mind that 40% is the qualifying marks of each paper. Now you need to have at least a 40% mark in, I am talking of the general category. I think it will, yeah. So 40%, you need to have 40% mark in the first paper, that is the general paper, and again 40% mark in your law paper, that is the second paper. After that, that is not the qualifying marks, remember that, or that is not the cutoff. You just, yes, after you have got the 40% marks, you come under a category of people wherein now you'll have to see whether or not you have qualified according to the cutoff marks. So the cutoff marks changes quite frequently. This time it was, I am telling, it was on the seventh heaven, man. I do not know why, because of COVID-19 people studied or whatever. But then it, I think I checked for the previous 2 to 3 years, the JRF cutoff used to go at around 64 to 65 percentile, but this time it was around 69.33.
Oh my God.
So yeah, yes. So you have to keep an eye on that. And I always say to the students preparing for the same, that always aim that you have like 70 to 75% marks, because you never know how things are going to change. Like,
it's better to be on the safe side.
Yes, it's better to be on the safe side. Now there are tricks about it, and also I always say that I always refer to this as expectation versus reality thing, because I sat for the examination, I have seen the pattern. So that famous, that you remember that famous "Ye Jawani Hai Diwali" dialogue, that life mein kitna bhi chah lo, kuch na kuch to chhutega hi. Yeah, exactly. It's exactly, yes, it's exactly kind of that, because when you see the paper, the syllabus of the paper, especially the law part, you'll be like, everything that I have studied in the 5 to 6 years, in the past 5 to 6 years, it has everything in it. Yes,
like and the complete syllabus.
Yes, like the complete syllabus. They are, yes, forcing you to read everything. And I get queries like, ma'am, do I have to read the bare acts of each and every paper? And I'm like, no, don't, just don't. Because you never did that in your law school, and you'll do that in like 4 to 5 months. You are not going to mark it up. Please don't do that. So there are tricks to it. First of all, I always say that the general paper, that is the first paper, is the easiest. Just don't, I am telling you, because, there are papers in it like data interpretation, logical reasoning, mathematical aptitude. So these are the papers, at least people who have sat for CLAT, and even for others like symbiosis, entrance test, and stuff like that. So they have gone through logical reasoning and obviously mathematical ability. So there's that. You can easily, and if you see the pattern of the first paper, there are 10 papers. Okay? And every part of it, I mean, each and every chapter has 5 questions each, and it's fixed. The pattern is fixed. So you're pretty sure that you'll get 5 questions from ICT, you'll get 5 questions from mathematical ability, you'll get 5 questions from teaching aptitude. So I always tell people to complete these 4 chapters first, which includes comprehension, mathematical ability, logical reasoning, and data interpretation. These are the easiest, and you have like 5 into 4, 20 questions. You'll be easily getting it. And then when it's done, move on to teaching aptitude and what's the name? Research aptitude. Yeah, right. Research aptitude again is your one of the subjects in master's degree. So each and every law college has it. So you gain an advantage over there too, because it's the very basic of things. But these papers are like, they ask you, like the questions would be somewhat like, what would an ideal researcher do? So then there you have to apply your presence of mind. It would not be a straightforward question, and it would be so general in nature. You'll be confused ki sab to sahi lag raha hai. You'll be like that, because I was like, yaar ye sare options sahi hai. But then no, you have to go, you have to be in the mind of, think actually like a researcher, ideal researcher, or an ideal teacher would do. So there's that. Yes. And I always say that aim for at least 35 to 40 questions to be correct in your first paper. If out of 50 or 40 questions, yes, keep that the aim, because in law paper you are never really sure what questions or what kind of questions they'll throw upon you. You'll never be sure, because and you can never be sure. Yes, vast syllabus, and there's everything. The moment we are speaking, there would be one case law going on, and another
Right.
judgment would be,
Right.
yes, coming up, reversed, whatever. So the law part gets tough. It's as
Exactly.
simple as that. So what I did was focused on first the general paper first. When it's done, then you jump onto the law paper. Now my tips and tricks for the second paper would be, first of all, there are basic papers. For instance, intellectual property laws.
Right.
In commercial laws, there would be competition law. These are the newly added ones. They revise the syllabus and add more and more stuff to it. Yes, they keep doing that. Better that you visit the UGC net official site and keep on checking
Mm.
this syllabus, because it's altered
Right.
many a time. So after that, there are some subjects, for instance, intellectual property laws, and then jurisprudence, obviously, and then criminal law, especially Indian Penal Code. And then in commercial laws, it will be competition law. These papers, from these papers, you get direct questions. Like they'll mention this section and they'll ask you, what is it all about? Or they, change one phrase from that particular, say, section 76 of IPC. They'll change one particular word of it, and then they'll give you 4 options, and then you have to pick up the right one. So it's easy. It's approachable. So all I'm saying is focus on these papers first. And they have fixed syllabus, like IPR has a fixed syllabus, IPC has a fixed syllabus, commercial laws including, and in commercial laws, people neglect, the smaller acts, for instance, the Negotiable Instruments Act, Sale of Goods Acts. And I always say, please read the important sections from there, because you are definitely going to get like 1 or 2 questions from there. I am telling so because I have done so, and I have seen the direct questions from there. So I was like, yes. So I always say that go through do not mug up all the sections. That is not required. That was not required in your question. That is not required for your entire lifetime, because Google is there and we are researchers, for God's sake. Law schools have made us.
Exactly.
So you'll be able to do that. Yes. For that, you only have to remember, obviously, if you are studying like patent law, you'll obviously need to remember the section 48 is the rights. So for that, you have to know the basic sections, and the basic sections would help. Now comes the difficult part. For instance, if you are studying constitutional law, you need to remember the articles, obviously, that's true. But they ask you very insane questions. Why I'm saying it insane? Because I got a question which actually asked that rearrange the cases according to the amendments of the US Constitution. It's as, I don't know, as that or insane as that. And I was like, it's so difficult remembering even the Indian cases.
Yeah. How can one study about that?
Yes, and I felt so stupid at that time that why do you have such questions? I mean, rote learning is one thing that's good, that people are able to do it. I'm not saying anything against that, but law is not all about rote learning. Until and unless you're applying your critical thinking into it, why are you even a lawyer?
You need to understand,
because it is all about you. Yes, it is obviously about your opinions. That is why you are in a law school. From the very first year, we have been taught to give presentations, how to appear, courtroom exercises or moot courts, and all we do is apply our minds to it, our minds to the case at hand, and not just merely rote learning stuff. So I will point it out again that please, the papers I mentioned earlier, please look into those first. Once you are done with that, then jump into the Constitution. You remember the articles, that is important. The amendments. Amendments are very important. The recent ones and the first amendments. The first amendments and the recent ones. Yes, they are very important. And obviously, if you are able to try to look into the recent cases, the year which you are appearing in, till I think if you are appearing in June, you'll have to look till March. I don't think they will have case laws after that. Yeah. And then obviously for the past 1 to 2 years, that would be enough. I mean, to qualify, you don't have to mug up everything. Okay. Then and then there was the pattern thing. It also keeps on changing for the law paper. For the general paper, it remains the same. Yes, it remains more or less the same, as I said you. But for the law paper, when I appeared this time, I saw the changes in the CLAT PG examination, they had passages and then they asked questions from those passages. However, it was not so much related from the passage. If they are giving a passage from a case law or environmental law, suppose, and they'll be asking you what was the first environmental law case that was ever fought in India. Questions like that. Yes, it can be anything. Yes, so you will regret to even having read that particular passage. Why did I even read that? But yeah, they did that in the PG paper, and they did that even in the NET paper. And I was so shocked. I was like, what? I did not, we were not even told. But yeah, they did that. I think the last 5 to 10 questions, I mean, they had 2 passages in the end of it. And yes, and the questions were not so tough. The questions were not so tough, but yes, it will freak you out because the pattern, obviously, we weren't even told that something like that would come up. So there's that. And yeah, I think, yeah, that's more or less the same. Yes.
Okay.
The pattern would be like something.
Yeah. So a little off the track, how would you like to rate the level of toughness of this entire exam? Like, how should one think of it? Like, it's too tough, like UPSC exam, or it's like just normal, like an entrance exam? Or what should one think of?
See, I always divide the paper into 2 halves because if you look at the general paper, you will be like, yeah, I'll be able to solve it. It's easy. I can handle it. Yeah. But when you jump into the law paper, you will end up questioning your entire law career.
That's
that I have been reading law for. Yeah. It's sometimes I mean, not all the questions, as I said, that from criminal law and from commercial laws, you'll get basic questions. But some questions, like, as I mentioned, the US Constitution case or the passage one, you'll be like, why was I even required to learn those things? I mean, I came through, right? I passed all, I did my undergraduation, I did my post-graduation, and I'm here. Still, I'm not able to figure it out. And the basic point is, you need to have a presence of mind. You need to have that patience there because you have to solve the entire paper in like 3 hours. There's no break in between, so that you can even get up and think, okay, fine, that I have 1 to 2 hours left for law paper. No, you have to do it in one go. So when you solve the first paper, I always say, please solve your first paper first, because it's okayish. You'll be able to solve it. You'll be happy about it, feel confident about yourself that, okay, I've done something, and there's no negative marking. So I urge students to, attempt questions. Yes, there's no negative marking in it. CLAT has negative marking. So I always, students asking me, they were like, I had solved like these, but no, don't. But in NET, since there is no negative marking, and you are like, you're sitting, ideally people sit like 4 to 5 times for NET examination, and I say, don't do that. When you're sitting for the first time, just have a strategy. And by strategy, I mean, when you know from the very beginning that it's a 3-hour thing, it is, time based, and it has no negative marks, the general paper would be easier. So, you prepare a strategy like that. What I did, and I also tell everybody, that obviously prepare for your first paper first. And also, very important thing is the previous year question papers. You'll get it easily on the internet. I am talking about the general paper, not the law paper, because even if you solve like the law paper, previous year question paper, that's of no use, because obviously things change, right? So I always ask people to, download the previous 10 years question papers or 13-year question paper, whatever is available on the internet. And then also they have many wrong answers, so just double check it wherever you are solving it from. And then what you have to do is, I always set up a timer. I had a timer in hand. I started from 1.5 hours for the first paper, and then it came down to 1 hour, because data interpretation thing, it is like, a long question, because it has figures in, it can go to millions and lakhs. So the calculation thing takes time. But then you have to, I am urging you, I urge everyone that please try and solve that paper in 1 hour. Because it's the most scoring, and when you jump into your law paper, you're going to go mad. You're definitely going to go mad. So just solve your first paper in that time. The timer will do the trick. if you are able to solve the previous year question papers in 1 hour, you'll be able to solve the question paper also in 1 hour. I am sure of it because I'm pretty sure I solved it in like 1 hour, 5 minutes or so in my actual paper. So that's not tough. That's not tough. Then the strategies, if we come there, if you have to begin preparing for the first time. So what you do, you buy basic books, like ekdam basic books le lo. theek hai. For instance, if because there are papers in general, the first part of it, like teaching aptitude or ICT or people development and environment, which we as law students never studied. Obviously, हमें तो बिल्कुल ही हटा दिया गया था after we studied like ago, we do not even know अच्छा ऐसी चीजें exist करती हैं. तो ये सारी चीजें and the most difficult part of it is I think higher education. Oh my God, that paper only has, you know, this commission was set up in this year. So this policy came out in the year this and that. So what you can do is you can buy this. I always suggest it to everybody. This book called KVS Madan for UGC NET paper 1. Okay, because it states the concepts very briefly for students like us who only you know, need to understand the concepts first, the basic concepts first. KVS Madan is the book, but do not confuse it that it's the only book for paper 1. If you find some another law book, another general paper book which you are comfortable with, that's fine. You just need to understand the concepts first. क्योंकि एक book ऐसे भी तुम्हें सिर्फ एक book से काम नहीं खत्म होने वाला. You will have to listen to YouTube videos or random videos. Just do not take, you know, crash courses on some app. No, don't do that. Just don't do that. Just go to YouTube, search, enter the chapter's name. For instance, if you want to study about people development and environment, refer to KVS Madan first. You understood the concepts, that's done. Then just go on to your YouTube, write the chapter's name, and you'll get, you know, recently uploaded videos, like a 1 hour thing or 2 hour thing. I used to listen to it whenever I, you know, Indian families में ऐसा हो ही नहीं सकता कि you are free anytime. You do not have
exactly. Yeah.
So what you can do is, everybody is sitting there. Either you put up a timer and solve a, you know, previous year question paper, or if you are left alone with 1 to 2 people where you can you know, use your phone or earphones, just log into your YouTube, listen to the videos, keep a notebook by your side and make notes. You know, the important things or the recent changes, because people development and environment and higher education, these 2 papers have the kind of GK questions also, because the COVID issue came up. So there were many, you know, obviously everything will come under people development and environment, whatever is happening around. Right. So you need to know what are the changes, and especially with our PM Narendra Modi, he comes up with policies every other day.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So whenever your dad is on the television hearing such news, just, you know, go and take down the name of the policy. अच्छा energy side में ये हो रहा है, अच्छा ठीक है, sustainable development का ये program रखा गया, you know, things like that. Solar mission हो गया. So just the names of it, you know, and the kind of energy we are trying to bring into India, ऐसी चीजें, you just need to know, because you will have 4 options there. Even if you know or have heard from anyone else or on the television, you will be able to choose the correct answer, right? That's there. Now for the second paper, they have like a huge amount of books, and people come up and ask that, should I buy this book? Should I buy that book? Should I buy a book for every law paper? And I am like, why do you have to study? Because as you may be aware, that this examination occurs twice a year. Okay. One is in June and one is in December. Yes. So it's twice a year. So if you are planning for like any paper, you have like 4 to 5 months of time. And in 4 to 5 months of time, you cannot do something which I haven't done in like 5 to 6 years of college days or university days, right? Exactly. So I just tell them, yeah. So I bought one book, if I'm not wrong, it's called J.K. Upadhyay by Central Law Publications. And it was good, because for paper 2, do not refer it for, you know, paper 1. It has both the papers in it, paper 1 and paper 2. But the paper 2 was, you know, very beautifully managed. I mean, every chapter was, you know, had only like 10 to 15 pages of it. Since if I'm reading jurisprudence, for instance, it had like around 10 to 15 pages of it, just the important parts or the once mentioned in the syllabus of UGC NET, and then they had like 300 to 500 questions for every law paper. And when I'm saying for every law paper, they had, if I'm dealing with commercial laws, they had 200 to 300 questions, especially for Negotiable Instruments Act, and then for Sale of Goods Act. It was that good. And the biggest wow part of it was that it had no wrong answers. As far as I had done it, there were no wrong answers, because KVS Madan had, my God, it had only wrong answers. So one thing to keep in mind is, for paper one, do not solve questions from, I think, do not solve it from any book. Just the previous year question papers would work. Please do not, because I have found wrong answers in majorly every book out there for paper one. For paper two, with the book I had referred, J.K. Upadhyay had correct answers and also huge questions. So, you will be, and they had like section divisions and things like that. So it becomes quite easy, and then you'll be able to, know that where have I reached. After studying the paper, if you are solving the questions, then you'll know कि अच्छा ठीक है, सिर्फ मैंने इसको read नहीं कर लिया था, I know stuff now, I'm confident about myself, I can appear in the examination. So it's that. Now there are also other books, as I said. If you're comfortable with any book, proceed with that, then there's no problem. But do not try, if you are for papers like Constitution, you can still go with the Bare Act. Obviously read the articles first. At least you should know the article number and what it says. Do not go in depth. But for each law paper, it is not required. Even if you do so, it will only take up your time. You'll be stressed. That's it.
Right.
So yeah.
And any other last piece of advice for students who are planning to appear for this? Because I know that a lot of students will be freaked out at this point that they have exams coming up and how to manage and everything. So any last piece of advice?
Yes, see, what happened with me was, when I was pursuing my master's, even I thought of appearing in the same, year. But then, unfortunately or fortunately, I don't know, nobody in my entire family knows anything about law. So I had no idea of it, and I had to know what's the pattern. I mean, how is the paper? How does the paper even look like, the UGC NET thing? Because I was interested in academics, and for everyone out there who is interested in academics and research, please clear this examination. It is very important for you. For people like, even if you want to become a research scholar, or you want to be in academics, UGC NET does not, it gives you, access to your CV, even if you are already working in this field. For instance, even if you manage to enter into a university without NET, say for instance, and then thereafter you realize that, okay, no, I should give the exam or appear for the examination. The moment you want to shift from one university to another, especially in the national universities or the central universities, your CV would have an upper hand anytime. If you are a UGC NET qualified candidate and the other person is not, because if people are already not aware, then there are markings for each thing you do on the CV. For your publications, for UGC NET qualified candidate, for a PhD qualified candidate, there are scores for it, and UGC NET carries weightage. Yes, UGC NET carries weightage. It is not just the minimum requirement. Every university prefers it, and now since the guidelines are changing so frequently, it is established that even private universities urge, the HRs to take those people who are NET qualified. So if you are planning there, now people are, yes, obviously, as you said, that people freak out that we have examinations and we are doing our masters already, and then how are we to manage both the things in one go? So all I'm saying is that, first of all, if you have studied like 3 or 5 year course, you have studied most of the law subjects till now. Now, whatever you choose in your masters will be your specialized course, right? I had, like, for instance, mine was corporate law, and I knew I'll be having 3 to 4 subjects each semester, and the common subjects like law and justice in a globalized world and research methodology would also be a part of my NET paper. you get an advantage over there also. If you are studying those two subjects thoroughly, you are also preparing for net, right? If you have clear concepts of those two subjects, you are adding on to your knowledge, as well as it is also adding up to your net preparation. So one thing, secondly, you do not have to freak out. You do not have to freak out, because it is only a matter of 3 hours time. You just have to have that set in your mind कि और कुछ है ही नहीं. ये सारी चीजें जो हैं, ये लोगों ने इसलिए बना रखा है क्योंकि एक साथ दो पेपर हमें देना पड़ता है, और लोगों को लगता है कि अरे इट इज अ बिग थिंग, नो, हाउ विल आई मैनेज, देयर आर सो मेनी लॉ पेपर्स. नो 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 नो, you have studied, you know everything. You just need to have a strategy, as I mentioned. You just need to know what are your worst papers and what are the papers you are strong in. The papers you are strong in, you complete those first, keep them aside, and then proceed onto the papers. Go and ask your professors about it, talk to them about it, and then they let you know how to proceed with the papers you are weak in. That's it. And then I also tell people that just like I did, I appeared in the first time when in my first semester of masters, I appeared once just to check the pattern of the paper. Quite frankly, I sat there just to look at the pattern of the paper. If you also do not have any idea about it, and if you have time, I'm not saying just do not take it as as an attempt, do not count it as an attempt. Or if you do not have time, you have already done your masters, do not do this stunt. But if you have time, say you are in your first semester of your masters, and you still have, you can easily give the second attempt after that, after completing it. Is if your masters is completed in the month of May, majorly the national universities complete their masters course in May, in the month of May to June. The examination would be in June, so you'll be able to handle that. So when you sit for the examination in your first semester, the NET examination, you will easily be able to know that, okay, what questions, and I will say you that if you sit without preparation, that is also very good, so that you will know where you are already, right? Because it is a subject, for instance, if you're sitting for judiciary, you will already know that MCQs would be there, because you have been studying these papers since your very first year, right? It is nothing new. And nothing new can be added, quite frankly. Those will be the papers. And you will also know कि अच्छा changes किस में आ सकते हैं. अब jurisprudence में तो changes नहीं आ सकते हैं ना. Changes तो constitutional law में ही आएंगे, contract law में ही आएंगे, cases के basis पे, right? Overruling भी इन्हीं सारी चीजों में होगा. अब जो Justice Holmes बोल के चले गए, that would not be changed, right? So you'll be so when you sit in the examination for the first time, just sit with a clear mind कि अच्छा मैंने ये questions देखा और मुझसे ये चीजें solve हो पा रही थी, पर ये चीजें जब आई तो मुझसे नहीं हो पा रहा था. तो you will understand, अच्छा ठीक है, ये मेरे लिए difficult part मुझे, because I am saying कि हाँ ठीक है, नहीं मुझे general paper बहुत आसान लग रहा है, हो सकता है लोगों को ना लगे. You'll have to sit it. You'll have to sit for it, and then you'll have to look for it. अच्छा ठीक है, ये चीजें मुझसे नहीं हो रही. Because I have met people who जिनका second paper में marks आ जाता है, law paper में they are able to score, but they are not able to manage marks in the first paper. And also a very quick tip is that after you cross that 40% mark in each paper, after that it's the combined marks that is seen, right? Yes. So for the cutoff, you do not have to worry कि law paper में मुझे कम आए और general paper में ज्यादा है तो मेरा नहीं होगा. ऐसा कुछ नहीं है. If anybody has this myth in mind कि दोनों में इतने लाने पड़ेंगे तो ही मेरा clear होगा, no, that's not the case. The case is you need to have 40% marks in each paper. After that, अगर तुम्हें first paper में say you have correct 40 questions, अगर तुम्हारे first paper में सही हो जा रहे, it will make you at around 80 marks, right? And in the second paper, even if you are not able to manage more than 70, that would be more than enough, right? So that's आप जिस paper में comfortable हो उस paper में ज़्यादा score कर लो. But keep this in mind to have 40% marks in each paper. इतना I am pretty sure anybody even sitting for the first time will be able to manage, but that is not the cutoff.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah. So all I say is कि एक बार just to check the pattern of the paper, sit there, solve the paper in one go. because solving it at home with only one paper in hand, setting up the timer, और घर वाले बात कर रहे हैं और 5 मिनट बंद कर दिया, इधर चले गए, ठीक है थोड़ा सा टाइम पास ही हो गया तो क्या फर्क पड़ता है, ये सारी चीजें घर पे होती हैं. So until and unless you appear for the examination, you won't know the pressure of it. And also by pressure, I mean when I appeared for the examination and rolled my eyes around, I saw only, senior professors and, people of, yes, that is another issue. So you won't feel the pressure unless and until you appear for the examination. So people come up to me and say, it is very easy for you to say because you have cleared the examination. And I was like, because I sat for it, I faced it. I faced it for the first time. I was a naive fellow. I did not know anything about it. I sat for the examination because I wanted to see that atmosphere. क्योंकि उस atmosphere में लोग अपना presence of mind खो देते हैं. And that's true. Anybody would be, because if you are sitting, if you have just completed your master's and you turn your eyes around and there's a 50-year professor sitting beside you and he's clearing the examination and he's sitting for 8th or 10th time, you don't know, and he knows the pattern of the paper and he knows everything about the law papers, and obviously you will be pressurized. So sit in that environment for one, and then you'll know your strengths and weaknesses, figure that out, and then proceed on with that. So yeah, that would help.
So just lastly, just to add on, what are the special criteria for those who have cleared JRF? Let's just add on to that so that people know that they'll be getting something after this. It won't be something just that they are going on with.
Yeah, right. That's, for people like me who were always interested in academics, and I always had this in mind, net to clear karna hai. But I was not sure of JRF, obviously, because I told you the cutoffs,
right,
and they vary. Yeah, the range is, from where to where you'll never know. There are a huge number of benefits because, in India, universities are many. But the good ones, or the ones you will want to put it up on your CV, on your curriculum vitae, are restricted in number. Let's be very frank about it. So when you have qualified, not JRF, even NET, they then you go on for pursuing. Obviously, if you want to stay in the academics or research field, you'll pursue PhD one day or another, for sure. So what will happen is, when you are going to say Nalsar Hyderabad for you as a NET qualified candidate, and the other one being just a master's student, or the person who has completed his master's immediately and does not have a NET or JRF, what you will see is the person who has qualified JRF or NET, will be directly called in for interview. And I am telling you, this is a huge benefit because, going there, sitting for an examination again, awaiting the results, and then proceeding for the interview would be another level of step. And you will quite be frustrated because, let's be very frank about it, you entered into your bachelor's degree by clearing an examination, you entered into a master's by clearing an examination. Yes, then you qualify to something, and then you again have to, face a written entrance examination for PhD as well. It can be quite frustrating. So I always say that if you want to stay in this field, please go for NET and go for JRF. Now, why JRF? Because institutions like JNU, for instance, if I'm not wrong, have separate seats for the people who have cleared JRF. So you might be aware, or even if you're not, just don't freak out, because institutions like JNU have like ginti ke 2 se 3 seats, or max to max 4 to 5 seats for PhD scholars. Yes, they have such, I have seen one of my friend, like he was stuck at 5, rank number 5, and he did not, make it to, JNU. Just imagine. And now what happens is, there you will see that even the NET qualified candidates have to sit for an examination. Yes, and while the JRF students do not have to. So yes, there's a very thin margin. So if you are studying, if you are preparing for NET, prepare for JRF. ठीक है, clear कर लो, क्योंकि तुम्हें ही फायदा हो रहा है. If you do not get a full-time job, you'll also get a fellowship then via JRF. If you have qualified JRF, you can easily, surpass that entrance examination thing and just go directly and sit at the interview, and you also find separate seats in central universities, like I mentioned in JNU. So these are the benefits. So yeah.
Yeah. So anything else that is left that you would like to add on and let others know?
No.
Because you have already given us a lot of information, which was a lot to take in already. And it obviously made path very easy for a lot of students, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah, so I just want to say that yes, I was a student. It's not been long since I have moved on to the field of academics. So it is not something you need to get stressed upon, because you have already dealt with like 6 to 7 papers per semester. You have done that, bravo, and you have reached here, right? Even if you have done like the 3 years course, my god, you have been studying for the past 6 years, and then you'll be entering master's degree. It is just that you need to be very clear. Please, I'm telling you, if you do not want to stick to academics or research, and if you want to go to the corporate sector as of now, please focus on that. And also, why I'm telling you this, because if you are not very clear about your masters now, so what you can do is you can try your field in law. You can try your hand in law firms or litigation for 2 to 3 years. It will count as experience. And then if you are not able to take in the pressure, if you're not able to withstand the work culture or anything like that, then you can think of doing a master's. Because what will happen is, if yes, your chances of entering in law firm, and especially in law firms in India, would get decreased if you do your master's immediately after your graduation and you're not too much interested in academics or research. I am stating this because I have seen people कि जॉब नहीं मिल रहा, कुछ नहीं हो रहा, तो लेट अस डू मास्टर्स, उसके बाद जॉब का देख लेंगे. सो डू नॉट डू दैट. प्लीज बी वेरी क्लियर. आई एम प्रीटी श्योर, आई थिंक बाय योर 3rd or 4th year यू विल बी क्लियर कि नहीं, मेरे से 9 to 5 जॉब हो पाएगा और मेरे से नहीं हो पाएगा. बस इतना डिसाइड कर लो उस वक्त, ठीक है? उसके बाद इफ यू हैव डिसाइडेड, and masters is chill. Masters is chill because even in India you get professors, and if you enter a good college, not only national universities, I'm talking even about private universities. Even Jindal has I think Jindal has a very good course, because when you enter your master's degree, you'll understand that people are more into discussion. So you will be able to interact with your teachers and you will find it interesting. So once you have figured that out, and once you know that you have to do it, only then take the pressure of it, only then take the stress of it. Otherwise, please don't, because you have too much to tackle already. Right, it is India, the unemployment rate and stuff like that. I see students, oh my god, yes, and especially of this COVID-19 situation, my god, I had students and my juniors who were texting me, ma'am, samajh nahi aa raha, ab kya kare? We are not even able to secure the internship which we already got. राइट, उन्हें इंटर्नशिप मिल रखी थी और अब कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा है. तो ये सारी चीजें हुई हैं, ठीक है, थोड़ा टाइम लगेगा, इट विल, बट लेट अस नॉट फॉरगेट कि ये कोविड-19 सिचुएशन सिर्फ एक बहाना है. इट वाज ऑलरेडी देयर, वी वर ऑलरेडी देयर, वी वर फेसिंग सच इश्यूज. सो या, सो दिस कोविड-19 सिचुएशन वाज a kind of white washing thing कि इसकी वजह से हो रहा है. इट इज नॉट लाइक दैट. इफ यू वांट टू डू समथिंग, यू विल हैव टू वर्क फॉर इट. इतना है, आसानी से कुछ नहीं मिलेगा, ठीक है, बट डू नॉट वर्क हार्ड. फॉर वंस इन अ लाइफ टाइम वर्किंग हार्ड वाला फेज चला गया, ठीक है. अब यू विल हैव टू डू स्मार्ट वर्क. इतना तुमने पढ़ लिया है कि तुम्हें पता होना चाहिए कि अच्छा ठीक है, इस चीज को हम अप्रोच कर सकते हैं, एंड दिस कैन नॉट बी डन. सो मेक 2 separate columns, decide it कि हाँ चीजें कहाँ जा रही हैं, क्या हो रहा है, and then proceed, only then proceed.
Right. Thank you so much, ma'am. I'm pretty sure you helped a lot of students who were in stress already because of this. And thank you so much for taking out time from your hectic schedule and being here with us and helping us out. It's been a really very big pleasure.
Thank you, Sha. Thank you so much. Hope it helps people out there, and I just hope people are not so scared of net, because whenever they hear me talking about it, they're like, no, it's very difficult. So I just kind of want to help them out. Let's see.
Thank you. So kind of you, ma'am. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Welcome, Isha. Yeah.